raised here in Battle Creek, 1976. My boys barbecue. And out here enjoying the day. Getting ready to do some hamburgers and hot dogs and celebrate with the community.
So you designed and built this yourself?
Designed and built it myself.
How long did it take you?
It's roughly about 3 weeks.
Really?
About 3 weeks to put it all together.
All right, all right.
Cooking on it for about 9 years.
All right.
And we're going to keep it rocking.
And you said you're designing another one with a rotisserie?
I'm going to design another one with a rotisserie.
All right.
It'll be on a bigger trailer.
All right, good deal.
Yeah,
we'll see how the product turns out.
Oh, yeah.
Washington Heights, we're hosting, Rise is facilitating this meeting, and they asked me to open up with a word of prayer. Those of you who do not, how many of you believe in the power of prayer? Amen, amen. So I'd like to pray so we can open this up and just invite the Holy Spirit to have His way. Gracious God, we just invoke your presence in this place. We ask that we decrease, you increase. Allow the conversation to uplift you. Lord, how can we come together as a community to do the things that are right and that fit in your people? We ask that our ears be open, our hearts are open. Most importantly, we ask that you move in the midst. And it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you everybody for being here. My name is Damon Brown, president of Rise. You didn't know we was going to have church today, did you? And so thank you, Pastor, for opening up with prayer. And thank you for your leadership that you have brought to this church and to this community. We are here today to have what we are calling a community conversation. Community conversation that we want to have today is about our community, what we need in our community, thoughts, suggestions. This community conversation came about. Rise is a part of a cohort called CCG, Catalyzing Community Giving. And it's Rise along with 7 other organizations right now. And we are gearing up to be active philanthropists here in our community, especially for the BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We know that there are some disparities, in our communities, in this country. And so we believe that, especially with COVID-19 and the murder of George Floyd and things like that, that it's a time that the narrative is changing. And we are a part of that change. And so again, I want to thank everyone for being here. The purpose again of the CCG is to again act as philanthropists here in our community, to be able to uplift the BIPOC community. And we're going to do that through several different ways. There are 4 pillars, if you will: education, mental health, food, and wellness. And each pillar, we believe, is essential to the livelihood of people, no matter what background or color we come from. We got to have food, healthy food. Maslow hierarchy. You know, if you're not getting your basic needs met, you know, you can't think about doing other things. Also, education. You know, that's how we advance as a community, as a people. You know, it is through education, building off of each other. I feel that that is the greatest form of freedom, is through education. Also, mental health. We all know mental health is extremely important, especially in the BIPOC community. You know, historically, we have been rooted in trauma. You know, in order to heal, we have to be able to address the mental health aspect. And also wellness, you know, everyday living. You know, what does our community look like? What's the narrative in our communities? You know, is it healthy? And so these are the things that we as CCG plan to address. And we have gotten some great support. United Way is sponsored. Kellogg Foundation. And so there are some great, some powerhouses that we feel that is behind this. And CCG, these groups are all over the world. And from what we're being told, the one right here in Battle Creek is trailblazing. And so we were very proud of that. So again, this conversation is a part of this to be able to get input, be able to get feedback, suggestions. I always say that at the end of the day, nobody can tell us what we need in our community like us in the community. You know, and I feel that that has been where the disconnect has come from for years, is that it seems like people from the top are telling us what we need, and you don't even live in the community. And so we are the people that make up this community. And so we need to hear from ourselves. You know, what do we need? What do we want? What do we need for our elderly? What do we need for our children? What do we need for our education-wise? Food, health. You know, Rise in Washington Heights, Hub of Hope has been doing food distribution for over a year now, along with St. Mark, CME, Calhoun County Faith-Based Coalition, and so many other people that have all participated in what we do. And we have seen this program grow from starting off with 10 families, and now we're at 350 a week. And so we see a need in the community. And we hear all the time when people come through the lines of suggestions and concerns and things of that nature. And so I know that coming in, we've asked everyone to kind of write down a question if you had one. And so we're going to ask some of those questions at the end. If you're not comfortable with us saying your name, that's fine. If you do read the question, you want to be acknowledged you did ask that question, you want to, you know, expound on it a little bit more, that is fine. And so today's theme with our community conversation is, how can we become a stronger community? How can we become a stronger community? And when we say community, we always highlight the unity, because we feel like that is what makes a community, is the unity in it. And so, yeah, we want to start this conversation. So we have some questions that we want to ask. Anyone feel free to raise your hand and we'll call on you. We can just dialogue, you know. We are recording this because we want to be able to go back and hear this, hear the concerns and suggestions and things of that nature, and to be able to do something about it. And this is not just another conversation, just another get-together. This is really gathering real information, gathering data, so we can go back and get what we need for our community. And so again, please feel free to speak your heart, speak your mind, and get it started. And so, real quick, we'll go right into it, real quick. So the first question that we want to ask is, what kind of community do you want? What kind of community do you want? Why is that important? So anybody, what kind of community do you want?
And if you want to raise your hand, I'll bring you a microphone so we can hear you.
Yes, I remember. Testing. Yes, I remember when I was a young man. I seen a lot of changes. When I was a young man, I think what we need now from the young adults. I don't see nothing going on. When I was growing up, we had gyms open, we had the youth building, open, just so many things for the young people to do. And now it seems like if you ain't got a pocket full of money, that's the thing you just can't do.
Let me ask you a question, brother. Why is that important to you?
Because I've seen in my almost 70 years of life, when young folks had more to do, it was just crime in the street. I mean, people seem to kill, young people seem to kill more about each other because the most things probably about is basketball games or different things that we're doing. And now it's all about fast money, where we gonna get this money at, and just the death and the killings. It didn't happen when I was growing up. I mean, it was bad, but it was something for kids to do. An idle mind, what's that saying, an idle mind?
That was playground. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Say that again. More respectful, yes. I agree. And I do want to put out there that we do, we have a resource room in the back, and there have been different individuals that's come out from different parts of the community. For instance, we have the land bank here, Jim Hosman office, I sent representative out Paul back there. And excuse me if I miss you, but I know we have different city officials and individuals. Ms. Bonica is here, Ward 3 City Commissioner. Mayor was here, stopped in for a minute. And so, again, different resources. I know that we have different questions. I have some questions for the land bank. And so, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to raise those. Yes, sir, Mr. Life.
Yeah, I had to touch a little bit on what Michael was just saying. Having grown up here in Battle Creek too, like a couple blocks down. And you talk about community, but back then the community consisted of the city being part of it, the school systems being part of it. Michael was right, we ran summer playgrounds. And the city ran the summer playgrounds, but the public schools provided the teachers to help run those playgrounds. And you built a partnership then. The parents built a partnership with the students because they're with the teachers and with the city. Because there was always, and like Mike said, there was always something to do. We ran summer playgrounds for 6-8 weeks during the summer. From 9 to noon, kids went home, and then later on, we had the lunch program. And then from 12 to 1, then from 1 to 4, the kids were back. The city provided the teachers, gym teachers come and teach the kids sports, team sports. They even had, the art teachers came, we did arts and crafts, made the lanyards and things like that. They had a teacher that came through with music, and kids sang and danced. So there was, every day of the week, there was something for those kids to do. But like I said, that was a partnership, a citywide partnership with the city, with the schools, and with the parents. So if you're going to look at something to get back to, maybe they can look going back to some of those old things that worked and see about bringing some of those things back.
Thank you for that. And just to say, I want to uplift Mr. Blythe. He might not want me to do this, but he's a pillar in this community. And during school, like he was one of the people that really cared about us and stayed on us. And we thought he was always hard on us. But now we look back and realize that's what we needed. And you can honestly say that this man cares, and exactly what he's saying, it was more togetherness, it was more partnership that was going on. It was more community. And so again, I just want to thank you for that, and again, uplift the great work that you've done here in this community for years. So, so next question. Now, given what was just said, what are the 2 or 3 most important issues or concerns that we see when it comes to a community? What are our 2 or 3 most important issues or concerns when it comes to the community?
I kind of want to go back to the first question that was asked, and we were talking about the community and how can we make our community stronger. I think that it's important for us as a community to care about our community. You know, a lot of times as I'm new to this community and I'm in the neighborhood and I'm looking around, I feel like people don't care about community like they used to. We used to take pride in the things that we have. We used to take ownership and pride and care about each other. If our neighbor next door or across the street, we knew they were elderly, we took care of them. You know, we took a lot of pride in really being the community, and I think that we've lost that, and it's important for us to get back to that, to really take pride in our community and the things that we have, you know, to take care of, you know, to take care of the little that we have means a lot. You know, then to, you know, one of the things that I always talk to the people here, you know, no job is beyond anybody. If I see a piece of trash on the floor, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm not gonna say it's not my job to do it, because I'm taking pride in the community. And I think that we've lost that, because a lot of times we drive up on the parking lot and things that we see, you never would see that when I was growing up. Things being left out in the you know, the parking lot, or just the trash and stuff left out on the streets. You know, we were told to pick that stuff up. We were told to take pride in what we have. So I think that it's important for us to even think about it. Each one of us can reach one. It starts with us.
Thank you for that. You're exactly right. And I think that a lot of times, so you know, just like, you know, your own house, you know, people come over your house, they see how you live. Or they see how you live, you know, whether you take care of your home, you know, and this is our home, you know, taking care of it. You talk about, you know, the parks, you know, cleaning up behind yourself, you know, not littering, you know, looking out for our elder, our kids, you know, making sure that, you know, again, that we are looking out for each other. And real quick, I want to uplift the attendees from again, we got different cities officials and things like that in our resource room. Again, Land Bank is here, NAACP, AccessVision, A. Philip Randolph Institute, Popeye, Bunika Herring, she's again a city commissioner and she has her own business, Cake by Boo. City Commissioner Christine Blood, Carla Reynolds, Linda Foundation, we have a representative from the Health Department, and Dave Fish, business owner, all here. So, again, thank you for coming.
Good evening, my name is Renee Dowdy. I moved here about 12 years ago to help take care of my father, Bill Dowdy, when he got sick. One thing I've noticed since I've been here is the homeless population. I'm originally from Benton Harbor, Michigan, and when I moved here to see so many homeless people, it was a shock to me, and especially the men. And as I ride through the city, I look at all these schools that are just sitting vacant. And I ponder in my mind and my heart is, why are those buildings being utilized? Why they can't be part of home, shelter, apartments, teach skills. When I was in high school, graduated from the Ben Harbor High School, we had a building called the Skills Center. Now the young people today, times have changed. You don't hear about candy stripers and future farmers of America, but we had those in my day. At the Skills Center, they taught the young men how to paint automobiles, how to work on them. We're in an age now where everything is computerized. So my main thing is why we're not utilizing some of these abandoned schools and teaching some type of trade and skill. Computer classes. I'm not a computer whiz, but I'm learning. So my thing is why we're not doing that. That's a big issue for me. Teach them some kind of skill. Carpentry, plumbing, the electrician. I've talked to a couple of the homeless men and found out that they were just down on their luck. You know, hard times hit. But I found a young man from down at the shelter, because I'll go by there when I need work done on my house or anything, and they're willing to come to help. And come to find out, this one guy was a master electrician. He did all my wiring, all over my house. Put up all my security cameras and everything. He's at my house now putting up ceiling fans. Now he's the only one I trust to come and do any wiring for me. But he learned that skill, and now he's homeless, sleeping in abandoned buildings. So I bought a rental house across the street. And the wintertime, I let him stay there.
Amen.
And he did all the wiring, all the painting. I fed him. And that was 11 years ago, and he's still part of my family. So my point is, let's find something for them to do. I'm quite sure we can get some computers donated from somewhere and teach them a trade. I used to be in the 4-H. My grandmother taught sewing. Teach the women, young women how to sew. Teach them how to cook. I see them in the grocery store buying junk food. You know, they'll buy ground beef and make a hamburger, that's the meal for today. But teach them how to take that ground beef and stretch it. Make chili, make spaghetti, make meatloaf. You can eat off of it a few more days. Teach our young women how to carry themselves. Young men how to be you know, how to treat people. So I didn't mean to take up that much time, but I'm glad that I was able to come because I didn't know who else to go to and talk to about it and put it out in the atmosphere.
Yeah, this is exactly what this is for. This is the platform for that. And I will say, you know, everyone is, you know, lifting up the fact that we need more things here for youth, elder, for us all to do. Mentioned computer lab. I hope to have a computer lab right here. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 2, where individuals can come up and work on the computer here. And so, you know, just getting this information out there, we need more things like this. It's funny because me and, I'm going to put Jeff on the spot real quick. Jeff Reed, we just had a conversation the other day around teaching these kids some trades. He has a construction company. It's a construction company. Construction company. And, you know, obviously, you know a lot of different skills, a lot of different, you know, trades. And so, you know, we need more roofers and plumbers and electricians. And one thing, you know, college ain't for everybody. You know, and in these type of skills, they're marketable skills. Yeah. You know, and not only, you know, can these kids, youth, individuals find jobs in these particular areas, but they can start their own business in these particular areas. You know, that's what we're promoting.
Hi everybody, my name is Kyron Herring. I'm I'm the Catalyst Coordinator for True Racial Healing and Transformation in Battle Creek, Michigan. And one of the issues concerning the community, specifically this community, I found out pre-COVID in a meeting about the history of this area, right? And history has a big play into generational wealth and why primarily BIPOC communities are in certain parts of town. Now, I feel personally that this community has been, they need reparations, because if you're living in the same spot that your mother did before you, and your grandmother did before you, your great-grandmother did before you, there's a lot of injustice that happened in this community that was ignored by the city because it was predominantly black. And I feel like those should be addressed now because the descendants are still facing that, you know, that wealth gap that was they were set up, in my eyes, they were set up, right? The floods that happened, you know, getting scammed out of not owning their homes. This used to be a community filled with homeowners. People took pride in their property because it was their property, right? But until they were pushed into land that floods more, right? A great flood happened, I want to say in the 1940s, there was a flood that happened here. And the, should I stand up? Okay, all right. Not everybody can see me, come on. Good. All right, so there was a flood that happened here. And the insurance, basically, long story short, insurances didn't come through like they should. And people came in and said, hey, you know, we can buy that off of you. You need the money, we'll buy it off of you. Yeah, but you're going to have to rent it from us for the rest of your lives. What choices do you get when stuff like that happens? And like I said, many of the descendants of those people still reside here today. How would you think that impacts somebody if you don't have land to pass on, if you don't have wealth or money to pass on, if you're constantly renting, if you're constantly in debt, and you're constantly just trying to fight to get food on the table, right? Because you're living in rundown places, especially in times where landlords could really get over you, right? Especially if you're black. They're going to really ignore you, right? They lived in a nice part of town. They didn't care what went on. They didn't care if your roof was leaking. They didn't care if it collapsed, right? So that a lot of times personal money had to go into that to make sure you didn't have mold in the house or that you didn't have an infestation. So all of that took away from the wealth that would have been passed down and inherited by their descendants, which is why we still see that same struggle going on today. So I feel like since we have so many documents that show how the city failed the people of Washington Heights area, there needs to be a form of reparations, right? If you go in there and say, hey, my family has lived in this house for the past 50, 60 years, then I feel like you should be compensated for that, right? You should be compensated for the money and the property that was stolen from your grandparents and your great-grandparents. And that's just an issue that I had noticed looking at, there's some local historians that had put together a timeline of the city, primarily about, you know, BIPOC communities. And I also noticed something else peculiar that happened in the 1800s, between the early 1900s and the late 1800s. And something happened in the city that made the black population go from 7,000 to less than 20. And there's a gap there. Right? Something happened where the black community tried to get something approved, right? There was black doctors here. There was a black striving businesses, right? There was wealth being built here. And they somehow, on this timeline, they said, within that time period, you know, the Reconstruction era was happening. They went and presented the city with an idea. They were denied flat out. And all of a sudden, this large growing population of wealth went down to 20. At the time in the meeting, I was just like, okay, did nobody notice this? Like this large gap in the census? Like why, where are these families? Somebody older at the time, I don't even remember who they are, but I remember she was quiet the whole meeting until that part came up. And she said, you know what, when I was a little girl, I remember my grandmother telling me how everybody went away. Everybody moved. Something happened, right? And the black population did not build back up until the World War I or II. Yeah, it definitely needs to be brought up. And I feel like the city should bring up, hey, why did we deny the people of the Washington Heights area, like, the rights to unionize and get together and have something? Because it happened. It's on record. These records are available, where are they at? It's like literally hidden in like a secret library cave that's somewhere in, I want to say the sanitarium, the old sanitarium.
The old field school.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'm loud enough. Yes, so there was literally, it's hidden in there. It's just right in there. You can walk in, you can literally, I guess when they were open, I don't know how COVID affected that, but there's literally all this information, because they told me like, oh, you can, if you like history, because I do, you can go in there and look for yourself and see it. So if we have all these records sitting around, right, about city denying property being bought out for way under its value and then not being kept up, you know, that should be looked at, that should be presented, and something has to be done about it. So, thank you.
Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that neighborhood that you're talking about that flooded was called the Bottoms, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for uplifting that. And so let me ask you real quick, what do you think is keeping us from making the progress we want? What do we think is keeping us from making the progress that we want?
Okay, so I'll jump on that one. Go ahead.
What do we think is keeping us from making the progress that we want?
It's the silence of the people and the people not being willing to volunteer to help these people out. I mean, I don't know about specifically Washington Heights, but I do know that there are so many areas where there are senior ladies who would love to teach somebody how to cook, or teach someone how to sew, or teach somebody how to do a laundry. And there's senior men that do woodworking that would love to have a young person in there watching them and learning from them. So it's silence. We're not willing to open our mouths and say, I'll help.
Thank you for that. And I say that all the time as well, that there's a generational gap. A generational gap, you know, and how do we close that gap?
That's just that.
No, you're exactly right. And you know, that is a major problem in our community, and you know, just amongst the people of color. You know, there is a thing. I don't know if anybody's ever watched the documentary 13. It's a great documentary that I feel explains the the origin of prisons like I've seen no other. It's a great documentary, and it's called 13. Also, there's a thing called school to prison pipeline. You know, where there's systems set up, you know, for these things to happen. And so, yes, they definitely need to be addressed. I know right now there's a program going on to where they are expunging felonies. I am in the process of getting my felonies expunged. And anyone that may need help with that, please feel free to reach out to me. I know that Ms. Tuggle and them are doing some things with it as well. So there are different organizations and people that can help you to fill out the paperwork, give you the information necessary to be able to get your felonies expunged, or at least attempt to get them expunged. And it's not a hard process. It just takes a little patience, a little time, and for you to get off your butt and go get it done. So.
I think Ornica wanted to say something when we first started out.
I'm Shirley Tuggle. I've been in Battle Creek all my life.
Can you hear you, Shirley?
Anyway, I've been in Battle Creek all my life. And so some of the things the young lady was talking about, some I remember, some I don't. But I know back then we were a community, we came together, we worked together. And some of you remember Hamlin Community Center.
I'm sorry, it won't, we hate to interrupt you, but it won't be able to pick you up if you don't talk in the mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the mic is not on, I don't think. Yeah. Is it on?
I don't want to.
It is on? Okay, I'm good to go. Okay.
Hamlin Community Center. Okay. When my cousin over here, Blythe, was talking about the youth, we ran our own youth programs through the center. We were open almost 7 days a week. And we not only had youth athletics, we had education, tutoring, cooking. We ran debutantes for our young ladies and our young men. What I'm going to ask is, I don't know a whole lot about this grant. Is it possible, like, to develop a youth corps? A youth corps. As we walk around Washington Heights, I see a lot of jobs that young people could have. That is picking up litter, helping to cut lawns for the elderly, paint houses, learn a trade. If there is any way to fund that, that would go to help our community in a large effort. And I want to take this time to thank Damon Brown, Pastor French, Jackie, Patrick, James, for their effort. You just don't know how much effort they have put into this community.
What you referred to earlier when you were saying that is that they used to have the summer youth employment programs.
Yeah.
And that used to take care of that. Even though it was a government-run program, we used to take the kids out doing that exact same thing. The only stipulation was that it had to be run through a nonprofit. And being run through a nonprofit, we'd get those youth age, what was it, 15 and on up to 17, and 18 they could be supervisors, but the youth 15 to 17 were able to come in and do the cleanup that she talked about. Like Washington Heights at that time had a group of kids that did just what she said. They came around and they cleaned up the community. They went through and they did cleanup projects, and it went on throughout the entire city, but Washington Heights did have that at one time. So it's possible that you just have to go back, like I said, those are one of those old things that you need to look at that took place and made these communities great at that time. And you need to go back and just look at some of that, like the young lady was talking about.
Yeah, no, thank you for uplifting that. All right, thank you for uplifting that. And it is like these are the things that we sit back and we talk about, and we were all seeing these issues, that we need these different things. We think about, for instance, an example, an elderly program where we are cutting the grass, wintertime, shoveling the walkway, putting salt down. Some of these houses that may be code compliance is messing with about the chip paint. We can put a program together where the kids are painting these houses, trim, for the elder and different people. I mean, it's endless possibilities. And to me, old school is always the best way. We've gotten away from that old school way of doing things. We need to get back to it.
Okay, so I am Commissioner Bunika Herring for Ward 3, and so I just want to let everyone know there is a minor home repair program through the city of Battle Creek right now that does funding of up to $5,000 per household to take care of some of these issues that your homes may have. There is also, last I checked, there was paint available for people that had code compliance violation for peeling and chipped paint, as well as some other resources. So on behalf of myself and the mayor and Commissioner Kristen Blood and Commissioner Carla Reynolds, please reach out to us. This is a new commission, and this commission is dedicated to this community of Battle Creek, and we want to help you. I've taken 100 phone calls this week about issues in Battle Creek, and we ask those questions at those tables that you're not at. So please let us help you. You can reach us on the City of Battle Creek page, or you can grab one of us by the coattail or the shirt, and we'll talk to you. We're all approachable. We're looking to help this community, not just one side of town or not just our ward, the entire community of Battle Creek. Amen.
We're going to keep moving along, and we'll be right back in a second. What we want want you to think about is how do the issues we're talking about.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Okay, I'll start all over again. We're going to keep moving, but we want to think about how do the issues we're talking about affect you or us personally? What personal type experiences you may have had? How about the people around you? Family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, others. What do you see them experiencing? Are some people affected more than others? Who? In what ways? And why? So what I really want you to think about is how do the issues we're talking about affect us personally?
Hi, my name is Roy Sheik. I work at the Sheriff's Center. I'm the men's director. And the young lady back here that brought up the homeless people, I work with them. I work with them people day in and day out when I'm down at the Sheriff's Center. And we try and do our best to help as many as we can get into homes. A couple of weeks ago, I moved a couple of vets and one of the homeless gentlemen who was in a group home at the time into his own apartment. And I try to keep, the best way I can say it is I keep my eye on the Lord through it all. Okay, and sometimes it gets really tough. I'll just put it that way. All right.
So, next question. When you think about what we've talked about, what are the kinds of things that could be done that would make a difference? So what kind of things do we think could be done to make a difference? When you think about all the things that we've talked about. Yes, sir.
One of the things we could do to help the homeless is buy some of these houses that are vacant and
Amen.
and fix them for them. Keep it low income because a lot of them do not have income because they're out there on the street. And if they do have it, it's far between because they get their Social Security and they wind up losing it because they're homeless. I thought I'd bring this up and see what anyone else had to say about it.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
And the city is currently working on issues to address the affordable housing issues in Battle Creek. There are developers and the city, and we're working together to see what we can do.
I think one of the other things you need to do also is you can't just give them a home or fix up a home. You have to teach them how to take care of it. You have to teach them how to get a job so that they can support themselves afterwards, because just giving them something isn't going to work.
I kind of wanted to jump in there and piggyback on what was said, but coming from a different perspective. We talked about a lot of different issues, and I think partnering, making good partnerships and creating programs and shattering systems. I think that all those things are very important. I think most important, getting involved, not being silent anymore, stepping up and getting involved and creating, bringing back some of those old programs that worked and making a difference in people's lives. I think starting with our children and sparking that creativity that our children have, letting them know that there are no limits to what they can do, and igniting that potential that each person has inside of them. I think that bringing about things that worked, I think that makes a difference.
Hi, I was trying not to say anything, but y'all just made me do this. A couple of things. I do agree wholeheartedly with what's been said on what is needed in the community. I think a few things happened. First of all, when they started cutting down programs to where, if I want to just use an example of a social worker, where in the day when they did have the money flowing, they had maybe a social worker having maybe, I'm just doing an exaggeration, 10 people to work on in doing that. Then they reduced the number of people working, and all of a sudden the workload became 100 people. And then, so it's impossible. Follow-up is what I wanted to mention on after the lady said about teach them how to do this, get in there, and then make sure they know how. That's called follow-up. Follow-up means having people in position that will be able to do that. And a lot of times, people who are retired, people who actually want to help with the community, the young people, whatever's going on in the city to make it better, they would help our community by being able to have the opportunity to do that. Safety is another thing that's necessary wholeheartedly, but when I look at it, I had not always spoke about or felt money was an issue, the economic resource. But now I'm to a point of saying you can volunteer all you want to forever and wear yourself out. And if you're not compensated for it, you just get a thank you and they don't worry about you. Your family has to have a way to actually survive while you're doing your volunteer work. Your rents keep going up. Everything keeps going up. They don't care. They just say, pay it, and you do it. So there's two things. The point of having people who are able to contribute well to that community and that environment, the resources they need to actually do that, the follow-up is necessary, and anyone who gets, who are able to get the opportunity to take advantage of the housing or whatever, and the safety for sure. So, all right, I think I'm through.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Miana Mouton. I am a health ambassador and health technician at the Common County Health Department. I have lived in Battle Creek my entire life. I am a Lakewood graduate. My family's not originally from here. My mom's side originated from Mississippi, my dad's side out of Louisiana. Growing up, everything was like I had to go to college. College was the goal. I never knew that there were other trades or other things that you could be taught and make a living off of outside of school. I have messed up in school for the last 8 years. Even though I'm still trying to push and go through it, but it's not for everybody, and it's very evident with the young people. And I feel like we're not being told that there are other options outside of school. It's always just college this, college I get the degree. But there are people who have a master's and bachelor's and are not in the field that they got their master's and bachelor's in.
That's right.
So we as a people need to teach our kids that there are other options outside of school. And kids are going into debt for like getting this degree, I'm paying all this money, and I'm not getting it. So I feel like we need to let our children know that there are other options.
Thank you so much. Thank you for uplifting me. I appreciate it. It seems like that is a common theme amongst everybody. We definitely recognize that. I also want to uplift a few more attendees that we have. I know the mayor was here at one point. He stepped out. Kay Smith from the Lions Club. Patty Poole Gray from the Battle Creek Public School Board. Catherine LaValle, also from the Battle Creek Public School Board. Thank you both for coming. Alicia Johnson, Dr. Alicia Johnson, put some respect on that. And she represents, she has her own practice, Eudaimonia, and also represents Bronson, BC. We have Pastor William Bell, Doctor, put some respect on it. St. Mark's Church, and also the president of Calvin Community Faith-Based Coalition and what's the other one?
United Community Ministers Alliance.
Yes. Say that
United Community Ministers Alliance, UCMA.
UCMA, yes. And also again, Miss Shirley Tugger, who's the president of the Battle Creek National Association of Negro Business Professional Women, Inc. So again, thank you for coming as well. So concluding this here, the conversation, we have a couple more questions we want to ask. So thinking back over the conversation, what groups or individuals would you trust to take action on these things? All right then. What group or individuals would you trust to take action on these things that we talked about here tonight? So who would you trust?
So my name is Kristen Flood, and I feel I've only lived in Battle Creek now for about 7 years, and I feel the answer to that is ourselves, no one. Right? It's hard. As I've become a leader in the community and as a commissioner, one of the things I hear talking to people going around is the Battle Creek motto: you do first, ask later. And so perfect example was Upholdings coming into Washington Heights, wanting to build a building and not having a conversation locally. And I want to, as a leader, first say I am sorry for the history of leaders not listening. I can't go in back and fix it, but I can tell you that I want to be held accountable for what I'm doing now and moving forward. And we, Unika, myself, Carla, the mayor, everyone else, we are elected because you put us here. We're not here because we get paid a lot. We don't. And we're not here because we got to choose ourselves. We were chosen to be here by you, by the community. And there is a lack of trust, and I'm fed up with it. I feel we should be able to trust our government. Our local government is where it starts. And we talk about being involved. Be involved. Hit up her phone, hit up my phone, hit up her phone, hit up anybody's phone. Call us, come to the meetings, watch the meetings. If we don't vote how you want to, I want to see a call from you the next day. I want to see you knocking on my door the next day. My address is listed. Come to my house and say, let's talk. What do you know that I don't know? I want us to be held accountable. Her vote counts, her vote, all of us, our vote counts. But we need to hear from you. You know, this listening event, thank you, Damon. It is amazing, and I appreciate you sending this to all commissioners for us to be here. I'm saddened that not everybody could be here. But these are the kind of conversations we need. I need to have pages of notes to go back and say, where did this go? How did we lose it? Where are the dollars being spent that used to be? I know budgets are tight, but we have an influx of ARPA money coming in, 31 million. Can we have another youth center? Can we have a board center? And hold us accountable. Do not let us have your vote and then not be held accountable. And so, yes, we need to, because we represent you, the people in this room, the people that live in this area. We represent you. I may be from Ward 1, but guess what? My vote impacts right here too. And I need to know you, and I need to hear from you. I'm getting red in the face because it makes me all emotional, but this is what it is. We have to be a community. We have to be the village. We have to be lifting people up. When we see a kid getting out of rule, we don't go, oh, I'm not his mom. Absolutely not. Kyron was told to take notes, and I'm over here going, are you taking your notes? Because I'm a part of her village now. I know her mama, and I know what's going to happen if she don't have her notes done. And it takes a village. When you see someone who's older in a neighborhood who needs something, go over. Don't be afraid. What's the worst that can happen? That's my motto, guys. What's the worst that can happen? They say, don't mow my lawn, I don't want it mowed. Okay, well then, don't mow their lawn. Or do it when they're not home, so they don't mow you. So, anyways, thank you for coming out. Thank you for your honesty. And again, I am sorry if in the past, in the government here locally, there is a form of distrust. But if we need to be one person to change the next person, then we're going to do it here. We're going to start with this conversation. We're going to start with the CCB. We're going to start with the village. And these conversations are going to impact because we need to be heard. And we need to take it up the chain and we need to hold each other accountable. That's it. I'm sorry.
And I just want to say that I am proud of the commission that we have right now, the city commission that we have right now. I believe that is it speaks to the true identity of the community. And there are some strong women on there. And so I just think this is a tale of the future, you know, and what's to come. And I know that the brains there are brilliant. And just looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. And I feel like they really pay attention to the voice of the people. And so that's what's needed. You know, it's not politics and music. So, again, is anybody else thinking back on the conversation?
One more here.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Loretta Lee. I live at 140.
Real quick, she want to get the microphone.
Let me get you a microphone.
I'm Loretta Lee. I live at 142 Greenwood. My concern is cars racing up and down Greenwood to Jordan, back and forth. And my concern is not only for me, but the children that leave the park and walk around here, somebody's going to get hurt. And there's no certain time of the day, and that's a big concern. And the other thing is loud music, partying, covering all the streets, not just the sides of the street, but all down the center of the street as well. So I have a big concern about that.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you for uplifting that. You know, we do again city commissioners here. You know, they hear these type of things. You know, we're talking about speeding up and down the street. You know, maybe that's something, you know, looking to maybe speed bumps. I don't know. You know, it's just, you know, a conversation that can be had to see what can happen. And so that's been uplifting. We definitely want to address that. You had something?
No, I was just going to say, I'll make sure that I note that, because we do take complaints about the speeding and they are being addressed.
Yeah, I live on, my voice is loud. I live on Gardenia Street in Orchard Park. We have a daycare. We got a lot of signs up and down both sides of the street, you know, saying stuff like that. So I like your kids live here and stuff. And it's like, it makes the people speed up or something. And we're scared somebody's gonna get killed on my street. Like, seriously, it's an issue. We were talking about this before we came here today. I was telling my wife, you might not want to bring that up. They don't want to hear about people speeding up the street.
I don't know.
Somebody else brought it up because it's a real concern for us.
It's our community, it's a hassle. So, I mean, and a lot of times people don't address these things until it happens to them. You know, so, you know, let's not, you know, let's address it before it happens to anybody else. Anyone else? Okay, and so, real quick, so if we came back together in 6 months or a year, what might you see that would be an indication? What would you see as an indication that things that we talked about tonight were starting to happen? More people here tonight, okay?
Increased communication with the local government officials in the city.
Okay. Anyone else? Again, if we came back together in 6 months or a year, what might you see that would be an indication that things talked about tonight were starting to happen?
Programs are put up.
Yes.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Seeing a program being put into place for our young people.
Yes, thank you.
I would also like to add, seeing a life changed, seeing the impact that it have on the individuals. Nothing beats a testimony if somebody was to come and share how much something that we talked about, that we implemented, how much of a difference it made in individuals' life.
That's a testimony. Go ahead, sir.
You know what I noticed? I look around the room and I see a whole lot of older people. What I think should happen is we need to develop a young folks coalition. Because a lot of the young folks, they're not listening.
That's just speak for yourself.
They're not listening because they look at the older folks, that's causing the problem.
Yeah.
And I've noticed since this virus and stuff, the young folks are making their voices heard now all over the world. I mean, they got countries being rose up. The young folks are getting tired of it. And I'm finding out the young folks are listening more to each other than listening to me. You one bit, y'all, you know, they look at us as actually destroying this place. You know, we should start a young folks coalition. Let the young folks talk to other young folks. I believe they would listen to them more. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I'd like to see a program in place for expungement.
Say that again.
A program in place for expungement.
Okay. What would that look like to you, Ms. Tuggle?
A committee who would start the review of the person's application, because the new law in place now, it's a two-tiered entry, and you really do need a lawyer. And we have the free lawyer consults, Benica, what is South Central Michigan, Florida, and you really do need a lawyer, because when you make the first application, if you make it to A or B, they don't fit your case, then you have to wait another year or two before you could file your application again. So if we had a committee in place to review with a lawyer, that we can help our people expunge.
Thank you.
Judge Thomas, yes, she was on our workshop. This is being spearheaded by...
And she's the attorney?
Yes.
And what's her name again?
Judge Deborah Thomas.
Okay.
She is out of Detroit. And this was started by the Battle Creek branch of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. But other groups are jumping in now. And so for Battle Creek to have a committee to look forward to get these people and move them through the process would be a beginning. Because if your record is expunged, you get a better job. You're able to help your family, better housing, and all that. So I'd like to see that in 6 months.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question, and I know this is totally like off script, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. So is this conversation helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we were to have the conversation again, would you all come back?
And bring a friend.
And bring a friend.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's important for us to continue to have these conversations so that we can make this community, stronger, so that we can make a difference. If we want to do it monthly, someone said monthly.
Yeah,
Okay.
monthly sounds good.
So we'll look at some dates. We'll try to come back, but we need to come back together and have more of these conversations and not just talk about it, but be about it. Let's do something, make a change.
Yes, ma'am. We got a comment right back here.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I just want to say one thing for this young man make his comment. I think it's important that we continue the momentum. The way that I believe in the art of manifestation. And this is how we manifest things. You know, all the things that we're talking about right now, community centers, different programs. These are how the ideas are sparked and they become to fruition. And so I just want to keep encourage that we keep doing this, keep talking about it, and keep pushing forward. Mr. Marcus.
I just wanted to iterate on what she had said about the program. There's something I found out that I wish I would have known a long time ago. I did a little sit down to where, when I got out, I didn't know about life. I didn't know how to write a check. I didn't know how to write a cursive. Barely knew how to read before I went in. So I heard about somewhere people that get put in my situation can get bonded. It's a little system where you get insurance for the job that you go apply for. The first 6 months, the person, the insurance free, no pay. After that, the insurance is the same as if they were regular individual. A lot of people come home and they can't get a job because of certain situations. And most of the people think it's because of their background. It's not. It's because of their insurance they'll have to pay for hiring. A lot of people come home and don't know that they can get by. And know that that won't stop them from getting a job. You know, there's like a program where it should be where people who come home should get a little bit more information. There's a lot of young people my age who go back to the street because honestly we have no, I hate to say it like that, but we ain't got no choice. We try to get a job and they shut us down. They shut us down repeatedly, over and over and over because of what we did. You know, and then most of the time, like I have had people tell me it's because of the insurance that they would have to pay to hire. It was because of what I did and how much my past will hold on what I did. So I just feel like it should be a program where people like me or people like my brother, people who come home, who don't know a certain about certain things, don't know that when they come home they can get a loan. Don't know when they come home they can get a grant for this, that they can start their lives on a fresh start instead of starting where they stopped at.
All right.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
We need a better support system. Hold on, I gotta go to Miss Carla.
Real quick, Miss Jackie came around and passed some cards with the Rise logo on there. These are just, we want to get your thoughts on how do you feel about tonight's conversation. Just, your feelings leaving, it can be one word. And so just your feelings leaving, your thoughts leaving. So we can write those and we'll collect those at the end.
Thank you. Hi everybody, of course I'm Commissioner Carla Reynolds. Everyone, cannot hear me? Okay, thank you. I'm Commissioner Carla Reynolds at large here in the city of Battle Creek. And I'm just really concerned. I got some news the other day that Calhoun County has only 40% rate of COVID shots. I am so disappointed. We have to protect one another in our community. We really, really need to focus on bringing and getting the message out to get these vaccines because we've got a huge virus out here now. A strain that's not good. It's traveling all over, guys. So we really need to help and get everybody vaccinated. We've got so many different avenues where you can go. You can just drive up. In KCC's parking lot, you can just drive up there without getting out of your vehicle and get vaccinated.
So again, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We didn't have a chance to read off any of the questions. We will be looking over these and entering into the database. Nobody able to share. So again, thank you all for coming out. Appreciate you. Feel free to grab some food. We got food over there for everyone. Thank you. Have a great